Hi guys, Squirrel here. Welcome back to Trucking Diaries. Look at all this stuff that we cannot afford. Actually, we could afford some of it. 500 euros for some of that, for some fenders and things. But I don't really want to spend my money on all these lovely accessories, nice as they are. I'd like to save my money and keep on track so that we can get a bigger engine and a built-in sat-nav and pay off our debts. Look, new upgrades available. Crone, yeah, we don't care about those. We haven't got any trailers yet. 45 grand in the bank. And we are in Nuremberg. However, because we had an upgrade, like the last time I did this, I had Pro Mods running. It was on 134. Now we're on 135 and Pro Mod still doesn't work 135. I've been holding off, hoping it would be available, but it's not. So the bottom line is that we're now on the default map for a bit until Pro Mods get their act together, which means the place where we did the drop-off doesn't even exist on this map. It was obviously a Pro Mods drop-off. So anyway, we're outside the Volvo dealer, and I have picked a job. Let's get comfortable here. I have picked a job for us to do. It's a little journey. It's kind of taken us to Innsbruck, I think it is. And it's quite a weird little trailer. I think it's coconut oil or something. Something that you would think Innsbruck would probably not need is coconut oil, but what do I care, right? I'm going to get paid for taking it. Anyway, I am back from Orlando, and I hope you saw the Orlando video. It was quite fun. I had a couple of weeks while I was out there, so it was basically my expo. Go to see the Flight Sim Expo, and also have a little bit of a holiday. Tried to keep the videos going while I was out there. But there we go. But yeah, video production should resume normal operations. Also, I don't know if you know or not, but I got picked for a VR 180 thing by YouTube, which is kind of cool. Last week, I spent a couple of days down at the YouTube Creator Lab in London, where they were teaching us how to use a VR 180 camera. And if you don't know what VR 180 is, I shall chat about that shortly. Let's just get this trailer picked up. I don't know which one it is. Freight market. We can pick our style. There it is. Coconut oil to Innsbruck. I think we'll go with the Schwarzmüller trailer just because it looked nice with our black truck. There you go. 22 tons of coconut oil. I assume it's that one over there. Right, let's see if we can get lined up on this. There we go. Do you know what? I might just tip that mirror in a little bit. Like that. Let's have a look at the right one as well. There we go, that's better. Just so I can see where the truck is quite easily when I'm lining up. That looks about right. Or maybe not. Because we appear to have gone under the trailer, that's interesting. Reminds me of the days when you had compatible and non-compatible trailers. That's really odd. I am on the correct trailer, aren't I? Yeah, it's got a marker on it. I don't know what's going on. That's pretty weird. Like, I'm perfectly lined up. But it just seems to... Yeah, it reminds me when the trailers came out with advanced coupling. And... okay, I think what we're going to have to do is that. Because I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. When advanced coupling first came out, a lot of trailers weren't compatible with it, and you had to keep turning off advanced coupling just to get the trailer to hitch. But in this case, I actually don't know. I mean, I don't see any significant elevation difference between the truck and the trailer, so it's not really that. They're definitely advanced compatible, so that's kind of odd. Anyway, we shall crack on. We have 371 Ks. What's our fuel level like? It's good. So we don't need fuel. There we go. We're going to turn right so we get the right lane. Yeah, so anyway, just to come back to this VR180 stuff, YouTubers run this, call this VR180 Creator Lab. And it's where they basically pick, you pitch your idea, and they pick 12 channels out of the whole of Europe to take part in the VR180 Creator Lab. And the idea is they basically give you some money, they give you a VR180 camera, they give you loads of training, mentoring, and then you go away and produce I think it's four VR180 videos. I have to do that by the end of September, which basically means I'm going to have to spend some money on some VR stuff. I'm probably going to go and get the Oculus Rift S and make some videos for you guys and show you guys how to do the whole VR180 thing so that you can watch it. And yeah, but that's going to take up my time over the next few months. There's going to be traveling involved because I want to go to like really cool places and stuff. I'm trying to get it all lined up now, but that is going to take some of my time, so there will be a little bit of an effect on the videos. Also, yesterday, in fact, as I record this, yesterday I started my instrument training. My real life flying, that is, started my instrument training. I'm doing what's called my restricted instrument rating, which is an IRR, which is a thing pretty unique to the UK. But it is actually a cool thing to get because it basically gives you the ability to fly. In UK airspace, it gives you the ability to fly in instrument conditions and shoot instrument approaches and things. The only restriction really is that you can't fly in Class A airspace, and you also can't descend down to sort of the minimums that you can with a full instrument rating. But apart from that, it's a really useful thing to have. So yesterday I went in the plane. Well, actually, I had an hour of ground school, and then I went in the plane and put the hood on. I don't know if you've ever seen the hood. It looks a bit like one of those dog collars they put on a dog when they've had an operation so they can't bite themselves and chew the stitches and stuff. It looks a bit like that, like half of one of those, but it's stuck over your forehead so that you can't see outside at all. You can only see the instruments in front of you. Which is, let me say, it's very, very interesting, and it's also very tiring. Excuse me. You then fly entirely looking at your instruments. You then fly entirely looking at your instruments. You're not allowed to look outside because it simulates effectively if you was to fly, you know, into cloud and that kind of thing, where you can't see the horizon, you can't see where you're going. You have to rely entirely on what's in front of you, the instrument, the airspeed, the attitude indicator, you know, the altitude, all that stuff. And I did that for like 90 minutes whilst we were doing climbing turns, descending turns, sort of what they call recovery from unusual attitudes. Like, oh my god, he pumped me through the paces for 90 minutes. I came back and I was absolutely blitzed. My head had no idea what was going on because my head was used to being able to see what's going on, but it couldn't. All it could do was just experience being thrown around. Like, you could experience all these forces on your body, but your eyes can't see why. Why am I suddenly feel like I'm turning left? Why do I feel like I'm being pressed into my seat? Like, all of these sensations you get. So when I got back into the school, my head was complete mush, and I had a little bit of a bite to eat. I thought, I don't want to eat too much because we're going to be going back out again, and like the last thing I want to do... Hang on, I'm speeding. The last thing I want to do is start to feel sick. So I just had like one sandwich, I think, or half of a sandwich, and a cereal bar and just some water, and I just kept going outside and just let my head just get used to what was going on. And my instructor was like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I just feel like my head is a bit mushy at the moment." And he said, "Yeah, it's pretty normal." He said, "If you want, you know, we can not carry on today. You know, we can carry on next week or something." I said, "No, I'll be fine." So I had like another 10 minutes, had some water, and then we went back into the classroom and did a bunch of theory on partial panel. That's basically where they fail a load of instruments on the panel, and you still have to carry on flying. And it's important because, you know, in real life, things like that can happen. And you need to be able to fly with just, you know, some of your instruments not working. And then we went up for another hour and did all of it, and I was a lot better that time. The second time round, my brain was like, okay, I know what's going on here. I'm getting the deal on this. And then at the end of it, I took the hood off. He said, yeah, look outside because we're going to do a bad weather landing. So I looked outside, and everything felt weird. Like being able to see outside then felt weird, which is like the strangest thing. But anyway, I've got a few more weeks of this training to do. It's going to be pretty hard work. I've got to sit an exam as well, so I've got a lot of studying to do. So yeah, I've got this VR 180 stuff and instrument rating stuff. And I'm currently looking at changing like the people I fly with and the plane that I fly. So it's all a bit go at the moment. All a bit go, but it's exciting. It should be a very interesting thing when it's all done, because I will hopefully have access to a bit cheaper flying and can actually go to better places and take you guys on better journeys with the cameras. In the meantime, when I was in Orlando, I did a bunch of flying with a friend of mine whose name's Ty, and we're currently editing those videos right now, so you can expect to see some stuff flying around the States, and they were quite cool. Some nice views in the States. I really enjoyed my flying. We flew in a Cessna 172, and yeah, went around some various places. Flying in the States is quite different to the UK, but it's really interesting to see the differences. Certainly the VFR comms are very different. But anyway, so back on track with the trucking thing. Trucking Diaries EU is definitely carrying on, so don't worry about that. Trucking Diaries US, I'm still on the fence about carrying on with, so at the moment I'm just focused on the EU stuff. But once I've got this VR 180 stuff out the way, I do want to start doing some more, well, actually doing some VR videos, as well as some more aviation videos where I want to basically show you some of the things that I've been learning, and I want to extend my training as well, because I need to practice. I need to practice what I'm learning in the sky, in the sim. So expect more aviation stuff. You can expect some VR stuff to come. There are a few VR games that I've seen that I think, like simulator type games that are good in VR, that I think would be, slow down a bit, would be interesting to cover. And with the Rift S, it means I can do that with fairly minimal setup, because all I've got to do with the Rift S is like plug it into the graphics card, and I think it's like a USB, something like that, I can't remember. But it's like, you know, there's no setting up these little tower things. It's not like a Vive where you've got to put stuff on the wall. Like, there's none of that with the Rift S, so kind of looking forward to being able to just plug that in and record VR video. My only thought is whether to bother putting a actual camera on me so that you can see like me moving my arms around and doing stuff. I'm in kind of two minds as to whether that's actually useful or not. I don't know. I would be interested to hear your thoughts on it. Does it add anything? Like, if you ever watched VR videos with and without the person showing themselves holding the VR sticks and doing stuff, like, does it actually add anything to the video, or do you just kind of find it gets in the way a bit? I would be interested to hear what you guys say about that. God, this engine's so underpowered. Do you know, one of the first upgrades has got to be, it's got to be a better engine. 22 tons, and I think this is a 360, and it's coping, but I mean, we're heading towards Innsbruck, and Innsbruck basically means hills. So to walk like the last 100 k's of this journey, I would kind of expect it's going to be very interesting as we sort of climb through different inclinations, and also the time of day as well, 7 p.m. Let's get these lights on. Time of day, it's going to get fun as well, because it means it's going to restrict visibility at night. Climbing these, probably there are places in Innsbruck in this game that are a bit like hairpin bent. Although, since we don't have pro mods, I'm not sure. I can't remember how bad it gets, but we shall see. So yeah, if you've got any suggestions, by the way, for VR games, VR sims that you'd like to see me sort of cover, definitely leave some comments. I'll skim through the comments and have a look and see what you guys say. But, you know, I can't keep my eye on everything that comes out, I really can't, and I have seen one or two good looking things, but I do wonder, as the kind of technology is progressing, I do wonder if more and more VR games are going to come out. And in particular, when you see the VR 180 videos, I think you'll sort of think to yourselves, this is some pretty cool tech now, you know. This is starting to get there. It feels like that. It feels like it's starting to come of age. I'm not saying it is yet. I think there's still plenty of work to go to get the resolution and frame rates that we need, but it's definitely... Whoa. What the heck? That speed limit is bizarre. It just dropped to 40 and then it's gone back up to 80 just as the bend kicks in. And this is default SCS, so that was a bit weird. That trailer looks like it's about to fall over in the mirror. That doesn't look very stable at all, does it? That trailer on this truck is not happy. I'm wondering if it's because it's a modded truck and the trailer, which didn't hitch up to it properly, has definitely got some weird physics about it. Just doesn't like this truck at all, for whatever reason. But yeah, do give me your suggestions about VR stuff, because I am, you know, not able to keep my eye on everything. 191 Ks left. I mean, you know, I do wonder whether to upgrade. When we can afford it, should I upgrade the engine on this, or should I just keep saving until we can get a next-gen Scania? It might be a better investment in the long run. I don't know. I just dream of the day when we've actually got some decent money. Also, I can't remember how much money this job income. Okay, so nearly 10k. That's not so bad. It's not fantastic, but it's not so bad. Innsbruck to Morgan McLernan. Blimey, sounds like an Irish distribution centre. Yeah, the problem with this engine is, like, when you cruise control like this now, so you get the rev counter in the green range, and I'm in, what, 4H, and it'll quite happily cruise on the flat and be able to maintain its speed. But the moment an incline starts in 4H, you'll see the RPMs just start to disappear. Like, here's a bit of an incline coming up here, so watch this now. We're roughly in the middle of the green RPM gauge, the gauge on the left, and we're doing 77 in 4H, and now as we start to climb, you see the needle coming down, speed's coming down, down to almost 1,000 RPM. It just doesn't have the grunt to keep the speed going without me knocking it down a gear. And if I do knock it down a gear, of course, then I break the cruise control. I've got to reset it, so a bit more grunt in the engine would be nice. The alternative is to run it in 4L, which gives it a bit more torque, so we sacrifice a bit of fuel efficiency and then it can cope with the hills. Looks like the sun is definitely going to set on us. Grandcompany.pl. That PL being a Polish address. Grand Company. That's got to be a fictitious one. Grand Company International Transport. That just sounds fictitious to me. A caravan? Dude. I bet you're speeding. There's no way. There's no way you're supposed to be going that fast. Yeah, here we go. You can see the mountains starting now. Slow down, otherwise we're going to tip this thing over. Of course, typically enough, somebody overtakes you and then immediately you catch them up and they start to slow down. Do you know what the worst one is? The worst one is when you're travelling down a road and somebody pulls out from a junction. They pull out in front of you. And the best thing is they always look at you when they're doing it. They always look at you and pull out in front of a junction, at a junction, and then within 100 meters indicate and turn off and go down another road, and then hold. So basically, they make you slow down by pulling out on you, and then they hold you up while they turn off. And it's like, well, thanks for that, you know. Could you not just have waited? Classic. Next time somebody pulls out in front of you, pay attention to whether they turn off within 100 meters, and you'll find it's a surprisingly high percentage. Righty then, crossing over the border. Into the neutral zone, quite literally. ETA 2224. When was this thing due? Expected. Okay, so we're on track at the moment. Expected before 1:30 AM. I always like the views here. So yeah, as long as we get it there by like 1 AM, we're fine. But I'm guessing we're going to lose some time as we start to climb. To get over there. Yeah, I think we're going to need 4L now. Let's drop down again. Let's get back over. Can you believe we're on, is it episode 18 I think we're on now of Trucking Diaries? Episode 18. That's pretty cool. And still I feel like the struggle is real in terms of economy. It just shows you how many trips you actually have to do in this game before you start breaking even. And we're more or less driving it, what I would say, well, we're clean driving, let's put it that way. Right, I'm trying so hard to avoid speeding tickets and traffic penalties and damage, which, you know, if you're new to this game, if you're just coming at it for the first time, you're gonna hit that a lot. You're gonna start getting fined left, right and centre, and if you do, it's a significant chunk of your income, a significant penalty. And in the early days, you can see the struggle is pretty real. I think we're going to be there before nightfall, which is cool. I think when you come to Innsbruck though, if you get the Frosty mod, in winter, the Frosty mod, and then come to Innsbruck, it's just the best thing. Because let's face it, when you come to like the Austrian mountains and stuff in Innsbruck, you just want to see snow. You want to see snow-capped peaks, you know, frozen lakes, like that's what you want. Make it feel like a winter wonderland. When you come down here in summer, although it's very pleasant, I mean, I've not been to Innsbruck. I've been to places like Geneva and stuff, and they're just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Innsbruck is definitely on my list of places to go. I've flown in there in a sim. I mean, everybody knows. Everybody who gets a flight sim goes to Innsbruck. It's just one of those approaches that you have to do at some point. It's not quite so spectacular in Eurotruck. But even so, seeing it in summer is, I don't think it's as good as winter. Don't need fuel, we'll keep going. Let me just zoom out slightly. Okay, we've got a right turn. It actually feels like we're going to avoid a bunch of hills. So I'm kind of thinking maybe it's Pro Mods that's more... Yeah, look, I think we are. It must be Pro Mods that's a lot more hilly. This seems to be quite tame, so I think we're going to get away with it and make an easy 10k, which I'm not going to argue with. That view though, mate, so good. Right, this is us. It should not be 80 around here, it should be 40. I mean, just look at how bouncy, and this has got like a adverse camber as well. It's just a nasty piece of road to tip your trailer over. Nope, it's not having that. 2L into 2H. Into 3L. We've got to split the gears with this engine. I think if you drive on automatic, you lose a lot of... I think you lose a lot of learning, is what you lose. It's definitely a lot easier on automatic. You just put your foot down and worry about acceleration and braking, but particularly with a truck with all this kind of weight, and especially an underpowered engine, if you do manual gears, you learn a lot more about how and when to shift and how to keep momentum going and all that kind of thing that you simply don't get with an automatic gearbox. And I kind of liken it to, in a flight sim, just flying on autopilot a lot and not actually, you know, turning the autopilot off and just learning how to fly, basically. It's kind of like that. It's what a sim is for, I think. A sim is... I see a sim as not just enjoyment and doing things that you can't normally do, but it's a learning process. So why not just kind of push yourself a little bit now and again and just turn some options off or on that just make things a bit more interesting and challenging, so it's not just the same thing. Because the problem with automatic gearboxes, it's just like a go-kart, isn't it? One pedal for go forward and another pedal to stop. Alright, where's the drop-off gone? Okay. Oh, there it is. It's on that. I couldn't see it because the mirror's actually in the way right now. If I do that, you can see it now. I could see it on the mini-map, but I'm thinking, huh? I can't see the markers. This is gonna be... Oh, we might get it done in one, we'll see. It's a bit sharp, to be honest. We'll see how it goes. Oh yeah, there we go. Did it in one. Perfect. I thought it might be a two-stop job. Okay, let's get the brake on. Engine off, and we'll detach the trailer and get paid. 372 Ks, time taken 6 hours, fuel consumed 125 litres. So we got our urgent delivery bonus. So this is where our skill choices are starting to pay for us, you see. So we're getting the long distance bonus, which is not a lot because, you know, it's not a particularly long journey, but it is over the minimum, whatever it was, 200 kilometers. So you get the bonus. And then, you know, every time we take an urgent job, I mean, that's not bad. 600 and 600 there. That's an extra 1,200 on top of 9K, just based on the skill choices that we made earlier in the series. And then because we're part of the trail, we get an extra bit of XP as well. I always felt like that should be a lot more, particularly if you do the skilled parking. Let me just remind myself of... let's check the engine. I think it was a 3... Oh, it's a 310, blimey. It's a 310 brake. No wonder we're struggling a little bit. Also, what did I want to do? To check the bank situation. So that one's slowly coming down. We're actually heading towards the point where we could repay this. Which, you know, an 18% loan rate is quite high. And that would save 2,800 a day. Which, considering we just earned 10 grand, or the best part of 10 grand, that then means we're earning 13 grand a day. Which is, you know, that's a good place to be. So Although this says duration 7 of 35 days, I would imagine, how much money have we got? 55. 10 grand a day. After 3 days, we should be on the best part of 80. That'll be below 80. I reckon in 3 days' time, maybe less actually, we should be able to pay that loan off. Which will be a great place to be. Driver, manager. Let's double check what these guys are up to. So, you know, Will's making 1,600. Tina's making 1,200. So now Tina's got 2 pips of long distance now. Will's only got 1 pip of long distance, so we'll wait till they've got 3 and then switch them over. That's what we'll do. Because what, you know, the thing is, the more pips they get on this, the more jobs they've got in their city. Like because the way the AI works is it drives from its garage location, which in our case is Copenhagen. It will drive from there and it'll look from any jobs from Copenhagen that it can do. But the problem is that if they don't have like an ADR license, then all those jobs are eliminated. If the job is too far for something they can drive, the job is eliminated. Whereas these are all bonuses. Those top 2 will actually filter jobs out the job market. So what you want to do is get yourself, you know, at least 3 pips in this, and then you more or less can do most jobs coming out the city, because the last thing you want is them sat, not, you know, it just says here like no job available, and your driver's not earning money, and you don't want that. Right. Let's move forward away from that trailer, that buggy trailer. So I need to be careful about taking that one again. It doesn't seem to work very well. That's it for this episode of Trucking Diaries. I hope you enjoyed that. Please give me a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to leave comments about like potential VR games and that kind of thing that you think I should try, as discussed in the video. Until the next one, take care. Happy trucking.